Hi, my name is Joe Jackson. I'm a journalist, author, interviewer, and broadcaster who's interviewed roughly 1,400 celebrities over a 30-year period for all major media outlets in Ireland. The best of these interviews make up my podcast series, The Joe Jackson Interviews. And what you're about to hear is the second podcast based on a clip from the first interview I did with Tom Jones. It took place in a Dublin hotel in 1989, and I'm delighted to see that a couple of thousand people watched the YouTube version of the previous podcast, which was based on this interview and focused on Tom reflecting on his friendship with Elvis, particularly the latter's claim to Tom in 1969, Tom told me, that Elvis said he'd tried everything, meaning drugs. This next podcast, however, reminds me of something Jones said to me near the end of the interview. He looked at me and said, "Talking to you is dangerous. It's like talking to a mate in a pub. I have to be careful what I tell you." Then Tom laughed. Looking back now, I'm guessing he may have been referring specifically to this part of our chat, when I brought up some rather delicate questions prompted by a few things Elvis reportedly said about the sexual nature of Tom's stage act circa 1968. But be warned, people have a delicate sensibility, or lacking in the great grace of good humour, might be offended by me asking, say, if Elvis got it right when he said that Tom stuffed a sock down the front of his trousers, presumably to compensate for what nature had not naturally provided. Some may even be offended by my asking Tom if what nature had provided shrunk over the years. I can't even say that line now without smiling. And I guess this is the kind of low-down conversation you get when you put together a working-class lad from Wales and a working-class lad from Dublin. By the way, if you want to read the interview I wrote out of this meeting with Tom, check out my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com.
Okay, when you said in '69 after his comeback, I wasn't impressed. It struck many as sour grapes on your behalf that with his comeback you almost thought, fuck it, I've lost my shot at his title.
I never said I wasn't impressed.
Well, you're not the NME, I thought it was a report at the time.
No.
He gave the crowd what they wanted, but I wasn't too.
No, I didn't say I wasn't impressed.
But did you feel, I mean, there was all this stuff going on in the British press at the time, will Tom take Elvis's crown now? Did you feel, well, now he's back, that's
no
to that?
No, because
Parker taking you over, all that stuff, was that all?
No, that was partly true. Parker wanted to go in partnership with Gordon Mills,
right,
and have the three of us,
okay.
Elvis, myself, and Humperdinck. And
but did you feel when President came back, I'd filled a gap that when he was doing all those dopey movies? And
no,
you didn't feel that?
not at all, because
okay.
I still felt we were different enough. And I mean, he used to come to watch me in '68. He would sit in the audience and watch me work, and say, do you think? And he said, I'm watching you because you are the closest thing to me. He says, you do basically what I do. So if you can do it in Vegas, I feel I can do it.
He objected to...
and I said, great. I wanted him to come back.
Right.
To see him work.
Because he'd been wasting himself so
much.
But when he came to see you, he apparently said later that he objected to the way you showed off your wires in the tight trousers, the shape. He said that was lewd and vulgar.
Well,
a lot of people see that as a bit... Elvis saying that?
He never said it to me. But it came out in the paper.
Would he have been afraid to?
I think so, yeah.
Did you hit him a dig?
He wouldn't. The relationship.
Why would you though? If he was able to just say that, I think pants are too tight. You don't have to show up, lean back, and show off the full shape here.
I don't think he would have said it to me.
Right. Okay.
Because, the relationship we had, maybe that was a bit of a shame. Maybe that's why I couldn't get at him to
get that close to say all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had to watch him, because he would get. I mean, people had said things half jokingly, and he would take offense to it,
right,
and he would never see them again.
Oh, yeah. So
so you had to be.
But he did apparently think that about you, didn't he?
This is what
overdid it.
Well, this is what was said. One of his bodyguards said that he had said it one night.
Yeah.
I don't have to. This is what he said apparently.
Show off my cock and balls.
Yeah. To do what Tom Jones does.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that.
Right.
This is what he said.
Maybe he wasn't as well endowed.
Maybe not. One night he came over. One night he came over to see me at Caesar's Palace, and I came off the stage, and he said, you know, there's two kids, two songwriters that I have in the suite. He said, so once you changed, you know, come over to the suite and listen to these kids. He said, they're good. He said, you know, we could maybe do something with them. So I said, fine. I said, look, but I gotta take a shower. So I get in the shower, and he's over the door, and he's singing one of these songs to me. But when I was sort of, you know, washing, I thought, now are you really over the door, you know, because you can't wait to sing this song to me, or are you checking me out? I didn't say it to him, but you know, but I felt it, because it's funny to have somebody, you know,
Pretty sure.
over the door.
Especially a man.
Yeah, right.
Well, he said, apparently he also said to one of them that you stuffed the sock down your trousers. He didn't need to do that either.
I don't know. That's the first time I heard that.
That was in Goldman. Or The West, or Geller, one of those 3 books I read out.
I don't know.
Week.
You know, I mean, they.
Do you?
No, no, no. I don't have to.
Did you ever?
No. In fact, you know, if I
But those kind of jibes coming from Presley would indicate that maybe he was a little bit shaky about that whole area, insecure. On that whole area, would it ever bother you that men in the audience might have mocked you, or I mean, somebody said that they would have seen you as a parody, a caricature of what a real man should be? That it was so, you know.
Well, this is why I don't wear pants on stage as tight as I used to. Because I grew up in the 50s.
Shrunk through the years, have you?
Well, no. Well, in the 50s, growing up I always wore tight pants.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was it. Drain pipe trousers were tight.
Yeah.
And that's what I always wore. But when you're up there in front of a spotlight with tight pants on, you know.
How would you lean back to
things
to give everybody a good shot?
No, that's just emotion.
It's emotion. In
Emotion. No, but you know, I figured if people are looking at me like that, which I didn't mean to do, not to be that blatant.
Right. Well, it almost turns you into a male stripper or something.
Well, this is it, and then so all you know, when feedbacks come in like that, I thought,
check it.
We got to change it now.
Yeah.
Because I'm becoming a caricature of myself.
Yeah, well, that's what was written about you, like a parody of that. This is just
right.
Men would be like, and perhaps a new style of woman in the 60s and 70s would say, "Come on, that's not. If that's a real man,
well,
you
no.
can keep it."
Well, most of the women now they say, "Why are you wearing? You know, why aren't your trousers as tight as they used to be?" But I mean, that's I mean, maybe not all the women are, but the letters are like that.
Okay.
You know, we love you with tight pants.
Hi, Joe Jackson here again. I thank you for listening to this edition of the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast. And as I said, if you want to check out any of the articles I based on the 3 interviews I did with Tom Jones, check out my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com.